Hello guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time I'm taking a look at Transformers The Last Knight Bumblebee. This is the third wave Bumblebee, not the first one. That was a repaint of the Age of Extinction deluxe class version. And I wanted this toy, but I was also kind of set off by it. It just looked a little off to me. Now having it in hand, I actually do like it, but I need to acknowledge that there's a couple of QC issues with the figure, and it differs from person to person. Mine seems to be fine, and not including the QC issues, this figure might not be the one you're after, or the one you want to look at, or the one you might want to get, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, taking a look at Bumblebee, he transforms into the 2017 Camaro, which is pretty cool. I do like the molding on this, it's very aggressive. I think the black is nice. Could the paint be better? Yes, it could, but I think for what it is, I am perfectly fine with this. You do have the molded yellow next to the painted yellow, and it is pretty obvious the differences between the two, especially in this lighting, but I don't know, I'm not that set off by it. You got some red on the back, which is very cool, and I love the black details on the side here. You do get the gun that tabs into the side here. There's no weapon storage, unfortunately, other than that, so not much you can do. You can also plug this on the other side if you like. No painted rims, unfortunately. I thought that was a missed opportunity, but considering that he's got a lot of paint on him already, I mean, I don't mind. This is that kind of sandy paint, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. The paint that you brush with your finger, and you can already feel that that paint is going to wear off at times, and it's going to chip away, and it's not going to be fun. Yeah, one of the QC issues I see quite a lot, and sometimes something's set off on my Bumblebee to where it will just do it randomly, but sometimes these side panels will not tab into place. On mine it seems to be fine, but once again, sometimes something's set off and it just doesn't want to plug in. Same thing with right here, is that these little side window things don't want to lock into this back window. So I guess sometimes it could depend on whether or not you have everything right, but yeah, it's kind of a weird figure like that. You got transparent windows. I feel like they could have gotten away with maybe a smoky color so you don't really see the hands. But you see this hollow bit on the front here, so I guess it looks like it might have doors, or not doors, seats or something, or at least room for seats. I don't know. Underneath, it looks like every typical Bumblebee. You got the chest right here, the head, the arms on the side, and the legs on the back. And then everything on top is the backpack. So, yeah. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and transform him. Transformation is way more complex than it needs to be. It really is. So starting off, what I like to do is make sure that these are disconnected from the sides here and not pulled too far off, because I like to snap these off from here. This is clear plastic, so I don't want them to break off from the hinge. I have a fear of that. So I just untap from the doors right there. I'd be very gentle with that. Next, what I'd like to do is, let's see, let's take out the side panels right here and get the arms out of the way. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. And the arms will tab into the torso right there. There's a silver tab. You can see it right there. You just slide that off, like so. Do the same thing on the other side. And then on the front here, you got this little panel piece that will move out. And then you move out the arms, which can be difficult at times. They like to slide into the chest and just stay and get stuck. It's kind of weird, but you are able to hinge those out. And rotate the arms and fold out the hand. Do the same thing to the other side. Rotate the arm, fold out the hand like so. And then what I like to do is take the front and just make sure that's disconnected, or just move that up just a bit, and then disconnect it from here. There's a couple of peg holes right there. And you got that. And usually that will unlock this. Now, let's talk about the backpack for a second, because I feel like this is an issue that some people don't really seem to understand, or Maybe your Bumblebee does have problems and it is set off, but I think for some cases it's just a matter of a fact of some people may not be getting it. So the legs have to go into this tab, or this little tab right here goes behind this section. You slide that under like so, and some people might think, okay, you got that, tab the front here, and then close the doors. But the problem is, not everything is lining up on the back. And I had that originally with my opening video. What you need to do is there are a couple of tabs inside the clear plastic, and it's easier to see from the side right there, but you can see there's a couple of tabs poking out. I'm not talking about the one on the side sticking out there, but right behind there is a tab, and you can see the gray tab, or gray slot. I know this is getting very confusing. You can see the tab, the clear tab, a lot easier from that point, but let me try and disconnect that. That little gap is on the bottom of the feet. Now, before we tab that into place, I need to make a mention that the front of the foot has a little tab right there that will go into that section right there. I'm talking about how to transform this into alt mode, by the way, because I need to make this point. So you gotta make sure that that's tabbed into place, and then you gotta make sure that that gets tabbed into the window, or the windscreen, whatever you want to call it. And then, not only that, you have this joint right there, this rounded off joint that will go into this rounded off section. You can see that curve, that indentation right there on the foot. That will go into place. Now, what I like to do is try to fit one of the sides on first, and then try to get the other side to swing over, try to tab that into place, and then see if I can mess around with this and push it and lock it into place. So, once again, to transform it into alt mode, make sure that's tabbed into place, and then make sure that this little thing goes into that little tab right there. Let's see if I can get this. And also, it's much easier to do this if you tab these sections. You can see, okay, let me lift this up just a bit. Okay, you can see the holes right there. Right there. Well, that will tab into that section right there on the front windscreen. It's much easier to get that part of the body, that front part, to tab into place first, and make sure you push into it, because this little section right here has to go past the black bit. You'll notice, yep, right there, like so. And then lock one side into place. Make sure that that little gap goes into the tab. Sometimes you need to fill around with pieces, make sure that goes in. Come on. And sometimes it does not want to work. If it doesn't want to work, try the other side. But I feel like I should be able to get that right in. Okay, let me try the other side right here. I know it's getting very confusing, but I'm trying to really help you guys on this. There you go. So I got that side plugged in, and then I tried to get the other side to tab in. Sometimes it will unlock itself, but because I've got this tabbed in once, it will just line up and snap back into place. Then I'll try to get the other side on. If it doesn't want to work, try untransforming it and retransforming it and see if that will help. See? And then that tab lines up, and then I'll close this section back up, try to get this tab to go behind this, and it will all lock into place, and you'll have a much easier time. So I'm sorry that I had to take a moment to really talk about that, but I felt like that needed to be discussed. So we're going into robot mode, so we could just undo everything. Doesn't really matter. Then untab this section right here, like so. Bring that up. There's a double joint right there. And then all this will just open up right like so. And then you take the chest and bring that down like so, and that will tab into place. Now let's focus on the legs. Untab the feet from the hips, like so. And then take this yellow panel, and there's a peg on the side here. And just bring that up and make sure it gets out of the way of the wheel and everything. Let's see, bring that up like so. And the reason why you want to make sure that the foot is up like this is because you won't get, if you bring it up like that, you won't get clearance for the next part of the transformation. So make sure that's up like so. And then, okay, so bring down this section like that. Bring up that. And then bring this section around, and that is connected to the foot. Do the same thing to the other side. I'll show that from the front. So that's the front panel of the leg. That is the bumper of the car. Untab this. Bring that around like so. And now you got dangling feet. Take this section, rotate it up, and there's a tab right there. That'll line up, and the foot's on the slider. You just slide that down into there. I'll try to zoom in so that's better. You see the gap right there. There's a tab on the foot. You plug that into place, and then the foot's on the slider. So that will help you plug that in. Do the same thing to the other side. And it's pretty easy to do on my figure, but sometimes I've noticed that there's a QC issue where it'll just randomly pop out for other people. Mine seem to be fine, but other people not so much. And then let's see, let's bring up the camera so we can see that torso, that mess of a torso right now. Take this windscreen section and bring the clear bit around, and be careful with that because the joint is very strong and I feel like I'm going to break that. And then bring this section up into there like so. And then take this, bring this around like that, and somehow this will go up into here, and there is a little tab right there that this windscreen is supposed to go past, and there's a little gap right there. Not the tab necessarily, but there's a gap right there, and that's supposed to line up. It doesn't really lock into place, but it just sits there. So now you have a backpack that's not as bad as some of the other Bumblebees. Take these sections and bring them down like so. Take these sections and bring them down like so. Make sure that everything's in place. Take the pieces on the chest, bring them up. And there you have the Last Night Bumblebee in his robot mode. And for the most part, it looks pretty alright. But I don't know why I was going crazy for this toy, because he's a very chunky Bumblebee. Not very slim, and it's kind of weird because Bumblebee does seem to be a very slim character, and this one just, I don't know, went to town on Wendy's. So let's talk about the articulation. You got a ball joint in the head, you got ball joints in the shoulders, you also have another hinge joint. Rotation here, elbow joint, the wrist can move like that. I didn't really expect this, but you do have waist articulation, and that's not part of the transformation. You got ball joint in the hips, rotation here. You have a pretty good knee joint, and the foot can move forward and back. Now, the problem with the feet, not including the fact that they can untab very easily, which this side seems to be doing a good job on untabbing itself, but there's this bit of the transformation where some people can't get their feet to lock in. Sometimes one side's fine and then the other side's loose. Sometimes it's both, and sometimes it's just fine. Mine seems to be fine for the most part, but my problem with the feet is this joint right here. That is just a little too loose for my taste. I don't know exactly why it's like that. I can get him to pose, I can get him to stand and do whatnot, but for other poses, yeah, it's gonna be tricky. He does have the hole so you can plug on a stand or something. That is also meant to plug on the weapon. There is a peg on the side there that will plug like so. You could also take that off and take off this arm from the mushroom joint. You'll know it's this arm because, one, this joint on the back here corresponds with this side, and two, this hand has the peg, and that's going to be important. You could plug on the gun using that mushroom joint, and now he's got his cannon arm. And I didn't really show that off too well. Okay, mushroom joint. Pop that off. You can plug on the hand, pop that off, or plug in the cannon. Like so. There you go. And that has a joint of its own, as well as the rotation joint. Of course, now, what do you do with the hand? You could plug that onto the back for storage, and yeah, it might look a little dumb, but one thing you can do is take the hand, flip that up, and it's not as dumb. And you could probably use that to plug in something, like a weapon or whatever. A very small weapon, like maybe Crosshair's original gun thing. So yeah, that's cool. I do like the fact that he's got a cannon. I know people prefer it to be on the other side. I really don't mind. I'm just glad that, hey, he's got a cannon, and the cannon, for the most part, mold-wise, looks pretty good. Yeah. But I like to use the hands, personally, because why not? I've also gotten it to where... let me unplug that again. I've also gotten this to where I'll plug on the cannon, and then I'll also plug in the fist, which doesn't seem to want to do right now. But I'll also do this sometimes, so I got everything on one arm. It's just a random thing. But yeah, he's very chunky, and then the side of the legs seem very thin, but it's got enough detail on the side where it's distracting. I don't know. That might just be me. As far as his size comparison, he is kind of small for a deluxe. Here's a size comparison with... I've got Hot Rod beside me. And Hot Rod's already pretty tall because he came from Lockdown and they changed up the torso, so that's not saying much. But compared to some other deluxe class figures, yeah, he can be pretty short. Here's the original Age of Extinction Bumblebee, and they're pretty close. Age of Extinction is a bit taller. But yeah, this is much more slim, and I even like this toy. I really do. This one just, I don't know. I like it, but I don't love it. And also, for another comparison, here's him with Optimus Prime, so now you can have them duel and stuff. So yeah, and you know, the fact that yours could have a lot of QC issues, or not that many, but still, the transformation is a pain. He's got this chunky look to him. He could look a lot slimmer than this, and it just doesn't work out. And there's a Masterpiece one that does really well, and then you take a look at the Deluxe, and it's like, what the hell happened? I know that the Masterpiece, they could blow their budget on that toy a little bit more than a Deluxe, but I don't know how the hell you go from that to this. Again, I don't hate it. I know I'm sounding overly negative, but I really don't hate this toy. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like could have been improved on. I do like the fact that the backpack gets stored inside the body. While it does look chunky from the side here, at least it goes somewhere and it's not just something hanging off the side. So I enjoy that, but the shaping just doesn't really work, and I don't know why I really wanted this toy to begin with. I mean, if you want a Bumblebee that actually looks like the Last Night version, of course this one, but that's because this is pretty much the only one you're going to get for a Deluxe and Voyager and whatnot. I don't know. I'd say the earlier Bumblebees did a lot better. I'd say Human Alliance does better. I say the Masterpiece one does a lot better. So I think you can get better out of different Bumblebees if you have to get it because, hey, the Last Night collection, you gotta get them all. I'd say maybe, but you just need to watch out. So with that out of the way, that's pretty much it. I thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads, and I'll see you guys next time.